So now you should have seen a little preview of what's at this year's Archibald Prize. And after reading heaps of comments online about the winner, one thing became obvious to me. People either absolutely love it or they absolutely hate it. There doesn't seem to be much middle ground. On the art gallery's Instagram page, the comments are mostly positive. But if you look at broader media pages, you start seeing a very different response. Lots of criticism, lots of questions, and that raises another question. Has the prize become overly political? Are the judges simply choosing work they genuinely love? Or are they consciously or unconsciously reflecting the spirit of the times? Do they prefer the story behind the painting or the painting itself? Does the narrative matter more than the craft? I don't know. Some artists spend decades studying anatomy, composition, and painting techniques. Others are self-taught. Some artists make the finals year after year. Why? Is it simply because they're that good? Or are there other factors at play? People often whisper words like nepotism or bias, but these conversations usually stay private because they're uncomfortable topics. So let's talk about them. Not because we have the answers, but because they're questions many people have. And here's another one. If the Mona Lisa had been entered today, would it even make the finals? Who knows? But I think it's an interesting question because it forces us to think about how artistic tastes and values change over time. Another criticism you sometimes hear isn't that anyone is doing anything dishonest. It's more that major institutions are often influenced by relatively small circles of people with social, business, and philanthropic influence. And naturally, some people wonder whether that affects the direction of prizes like the Archibald. Are decisions made simply because the judges genuinely love the work? Or are they influenced by what will resonate with a particular audience or with the current cultural climate? Of course, the judges themselves would say they're simply being honest in their choices, and perhaps they are. Again, I'm not claiming to know. I'm simply asking the question. Personally, I've never been completely comfortable with the idea of art competing. Sometimes it feels as though artworks become things to justify rather than things to simply appreciate. The artwork almost becomes a rationalization to be judged instead of something to experience. Because what even is art? Is it something decorative that you can hang on the wall? Is it storytelling? Is it therapy? Is it a way of communicating ideas? Probably all of these things. Throughout history, art has served many purposes. Cavemen used it to tell stories. The Renaissance celebrated beauty and decoration. And today art can be all of that plus something deeply personal, which I think is wonderful. And events like the Archibald are wonderful too. They encourage people to see art, talk about art, and appreciate art. But when art becomes a sport, does something get lost? Does competition compromise expression? Are artists creating for themselves, or are they creating for judges, or audiences, or trends? There's nothing wrong with creating for others. That's often what commissions are for. Personally, I really like the idea behind incognito art show. Anyone willing to create can participate. The work stands on its own, and everybody has a chance to be seen. Another thing I've noticed, and this is just my observation, is that the Packing Room Prize often seems to favour paintings with strong technical know-how, whereas the Archibald winner itself can sometimes reflect very different priorities. Neither is necessarily right or wrong, it's just interesting. Competition can be healthy, but perhaps the most meaningful competition is with ourselves. To become better than what we were yesterday. And if J.F. Archibald intended this to be a popular Australian portrait prize, then perhaps it's worth asking the question, should the public have a greater voice in deciding the winner? Or should that responsibility remain with trustees and judges? Whatever side you fall on, one thing is certain. People still care deeply about art, and maybe that's the most encouraging thing of all. Because whether people love the winner or hate it, at least they're talking. And as long as people are arguing about art, then art is still alive.